Hello! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I go by B. It is great to meet you. And if you are a returning viewer, then thank you very much for that. It's great to see you back. So, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So, if you clicked on the video to watch, you probably know that I am talking about BookTok, which is often a very debated topic. Many readers love BookTok, think it's great, don't see any issue with it, and other readers can't stand BookTok, think it's all terrible. So I'm here coming from a more middle of it sort of opinion. I don't think BookTok is awesome or great or perfect in any way, certainly. But I don't necessarily think it's terrible either. I mean, here I am making book content on YouTube. I like to think of myself as a booktuber, so obviously I don't think it's all bad. However, I don't think it's all good either. And today I'm going to tell you about why. So, first of all, I do think that BookTok can be useful. It can help you find books to read if you're trying to find something new or try new genre, or if you're just getting into reading for the first time. It can be a very valuable tool for just finding something good to read. However, it often makes it about popularity and mainstream opinion as opposed to all the little details of what makes somebody interested in a book. And oftentimes the stuff that tends to be really popular in BookTok is not popular because it has good storytelling, good writing, good characters. A lot of the time, the stuff that's popular on BookTok is popular because it's spicy, which is, people are allowed to like what they like. I don't think there's necessarily some kind of problem with liking that sort of content, I guess, but I don't think oftentimes there's young kids and teenagers on BookTok, and that's not the sort of content they should be getting recommended to them. And I feel like that sort of genre used to be very small and niche, and if you like it, that's totally cool. But now it's often being forced on everybody. And if you're making content about books, it's almost like you have to follow the mainstream and talk about all the same books that everybody's talking about, or else nobody's going to want to watch your videos. It's like, if you talk about the popular stuff, people are interested as long as you have the right opinion. And if you talk about smaller, lesser known stuff, people just aren't usually interested. Or if you talk about the mainstream stuff and you have the wrong opinion, then people often don't like that either. It's a very it's become a performative sort of thing in a way. Now, I personally did not really have any idea about BookTok at all. I'd never even heard the term until a couple of years ago. And once I heard of BookTok, I set out to try some BookTok books and see if they were really worth the hype, and just trying to figure out why BookTok books are popular. Like, what makes a BookTok book, aside from the fact that people on TikTok talk about it a lot. Like, why do they talk about it? What makes them interested? What do these books maybe have in common? And do I agree that they're actually good? Because, see, I have grown up reading. I've been a big reader since I was like 7 years old, so, good lot of years now. And my love for reading has shifted and specified and changed itself over the years, but the core of like why I like to read and what I like to get out of reading, that's stayed pretty much the same. Only my genres and specific book picks have changed pretty much. So when I first discovered BookTok, I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot, why not? And I certainly do not consider myself a BookTok expert at all. I haven't read a lot of BookTok books, honestly, and most of them I think are more romances, which don't tend to be my style, but I did try reading a few romance books a couple months ago, so if you want to see those, in like that video where I talk about what I thought of those, which is somewhat related to this, I guess, then you can, I'm going to see if I can try to put the link in the description below. I don't think I know how to like put it up on the screen anywhere here. I'm still working that out. But yeah, I have tried a few of the popular fantasy romance or BookTok books, sorry. Like the romantasy BookTok books. So yeah, what did I think? Well, one of the first ones I tried, I think, I can't quite remember now, it's been a little while, but one of the first ones I tried was Fourth Wing. Now, Fourth Wing is complicated. If you want to hear, like to see what I rated it, then check out my book rating for it. I don't really remember what I rated it or if it's still accurate. The first time I read Fourth Wing, I thought it was good. It had good plot and storyline, but I could see why it was popular. Now, if you have not read Fourth Wing, I'm going to try not to spoil it, but the main couple and like the main character, her name is Violet Sorrengail, and her love interest is Xaden Ryerson? I think I say it Ryerson. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so Violet and Xaden are like the couple in the book, and it is, I don't want to say it's a typical romance. As someone who's not really a romance reader, I don't really tend to analyze the romance as much. To me, it's just, you know, general major types. But it seems like a typical romantasy romance, and I was not very impressed. Xaden fans, don't come after me for this. I thought he was okay, but whatever. He wasn't really, I didn't really see the appeal that much. I did like Violet, but I found her a bit annoying at times. But I could see why this book was popular. It was because of the romance. It wasn't, maybe some people did like the story and the characters and the world building. I liked that. But I feel like that probably wasn't the reason it was a popular BookTok book. But you know, I could be wrong. So I tried another one. Powerless. I didn't like that one much. I did like the competition aspect. I liked the world building, mostly. I more or less liked the characters. I liked Andy a lot. But, again, it was pretty evident that the romance aspect was why people liked this book. Again, same kind of romantasy vibe with the Peyton and Kai, it's the main couple. And I just found it a little annoying. Honestly, I didn't like it for the romance. I wasn't a big fan, and it kind of decreased my opinion of the book as a whole. But in keeping with that belief that it was probably due to the romances in the books, I could definitely see why it was a popular BookTok pick. So I had recently heard of another BookTok series, another romantasy, and it sounded really good, so I figured I'd try it. That series was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and let me tell you, I absolutely loved that series, but not for the reason that most other people probably did. So, in this series, I'm just going to read you the back synopsis of the first book, because if I try to summarize this plot, I will get so sidetracked and go off on an even crazier tangent than I'm already doing. So, this is the first book. There's a lot of debate about this, if this is actually the first book, or if you need to read the sequel, Assassin's Blade, first. I have a whole separate video about that. I'll try to find a way to put that in the description below as well, if you want to check out my rant about the Maasverse video. So, the basic summary of Throne of Glass. In a land without magic, an assassin is summoned to the castle. She has no love for the vicious king who rules from his throne of glass, but she has not come to kill him. She has come to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 murderers, thieves, and warriors in a competition, she will be released from prison to serve as the king's champion. Her name is Selena Sardothian. The crown prince will provoke her, the captains of the guard will protect her, and a princess from a faraway country will befriend her. But something rotten dwells in the castle, and it's there to kill. When her competitors start dying mysteriously, one by one, Selena's fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival, and a desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys her world. Thrilling and fierce, Throne of Glass is the first book in the #1 New York Times best-selling series that has captivated readers worldwide. There you go. Highly recommend you go check it out. It's a fantastic book series. But what I loved about it, and I'm pretty sure I discussed this in my rant about the Maasverse video, I love the world building. I love just the complexity of it all, the magic system, everything that Sarah J. Maas wrote. I loved the characters. I love Selena, and it just was all so good, and the writing was incredible. I'm pretty sure Sarah J. Maas wrote that as a teenager, that first book, and it just blows my mind. It is so amazing. And it's a long series. The last book is 980 pages. The books just get bigger and bigger as the series goes. But, if you have the time and the interest, go read that series. It's phenomenal. But, as like with all the others, I could see why it was a popular BookTok pick. The romance. No, I'm not going to say anything because that would be spoiling, but there was definitely a lot of romance happening, a lot of love triangles, and, trying to figure out which one would be her guy. And some of the later books, there's some spicy scenes, so maybe if you're a younger reader, maybe give it a couple of years before you read this, but I definitely think that's why it's so popular. Which is sad to me, because if people take the time to appreciate the amazing story that this author wrote, you can see that it's so much more than just a romance. But I don't think that's why it's a BookTok read. I think it's a BookTok read because of the romance, which again seems to fit into the same kind of pattern as Fourth Wing and Powerless. But I decided to give it another go and to see, because I'd heard that Sarah J. Maas had written another series that was more popular than Throne of Glass. So I decided to check it out and see if maybe it would prove me wrong about BookTok. You know it. You hopefully love it. A Court of Thorns and Roses. Which again, I will read the synopsis for this. There's no debate about prequels or anything else. It is a 5-book, there's the original trilogy of A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin. Then there is like a little novella between A Court of Wings and Ruin and the next book, and that novella is A Court of Frost and Starlight. Then book 5, A Court of Silver Flames. Well, I discussed that in my rant about the Maasverse video. Go check it out if you want. I'm not going to get sidetracked. At least I'll try not to. But the authors, that's Sarah J. Maas is rumored to be writing book 6 for that series. I have thoughts. Let me know if you want another video on that and feel like my rant about the Maasverse was not sufficient. I'm going to try not to get sidetracked here. Okay, but reading the synopsis of A Court of Thorns and Roses. When 19-year-old huntress Feyre kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged to a treacherous magical land that she knows only from legends, Feyre discovers that her captor is not truly a beast, but one of the lethal, immortal fairies who once ruled her world. At least he's not a beast all the time. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for the fairy, Tamlin, transform from icy hostility into a fiery passion that burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. But something is not right in the fairylands. An ancient wicked shadow is growing, and Feyre must find a way to stop it or doom Tamlin and his world forever. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but I can see why it's so popular. It's the romance, again, and that frustrates me because I honestly like the Throne of Glass series a bit better, because it has, in my opinion, better world building, sort of better characters. I do like the characters in A Court of Thorns and Roses, but in some ways the characters in Throne of Glass are better. And I think the reason A Court of Thorns and Roses is liked better is because it is spicier, which I did not like. That's part of my issue with A Court of Silver Flames. Which is really sad because there's so much more to books than just spice scenes and stuff like that that's become so popular. And again, I'm not trying to judge if you like that stuff, but I don't think that should be what makes a book popular. I think the writing and the characters and the story and the world building, that's so much more important, especially in fantasy books. Now, I have some examples of non-BookTok books that are really, really good. They're not necessarily fantasy, but, you know, it's examples that non-BookTok books can be really amazing. Natasha Preston's books are all great. I love some of them more than others, but they're really good. This is one that's really good. She writes murder mysteries, and they're really good, but they're not mainstream. They're good for younger readers, probably older readers too, but mostly teens, and they're very clean. Well, I mean, as clean as murder mysteries can be as far as, like, blood and guts and stuff, but yeah, they're not mainstream, not super popular, at least not as far as I know, but I love them. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. One of my all-time favorite book series. Again, they're not mainstream popular. They're kind of popular in some circles, but they're not like big BookTok names. I love that series so much. The Anomaly by, I'm gonna butcher this name so bad, I'm sorry, Hervé Letellier. That's a fantastic book that I had absolutely never heard of anywhere. To be fair, it was written by a French author, so it maybe wouldn't be as well known in America, but still, it's phenomenal. And I know for a fact it's not a BookTok book because probably hardly anybody on BookTok has ever heard of it, but it was so good. And last but not least, Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This was also an amazing book series that I loved, that I don't think is a BookTok book. It's probably not that popular or well known, but I loved it and thought it was phenomenal. Now, are non-BookTok books always amazing? Certainly not. There's plenty of just random books that are not BookTok that I don't really like much, or it's easy to see why they're not popular. But still, just because a book's on BookTok and popular there, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good book. Oftentimes, BookTok books are just popular because of the romance. So if you're a reader who's trying to decide what to read next, if you're someone who wants to get into reading, or if you are, like me, someone who creates book-related content, maybe just consider if you actually agree that stuff's good, or just don't take that as the end-all be-all of books. Don't look at BookTok and think that is everything that reading is, that book fans are, that books are, because BookTok is honestly just a small part of what reading is, what books are. It's just the part that's popular. So don't let it scare you off if you don't find it appealing. And if you are someone who likes BookTok, don't think I'm trying to criticize. To each their own. I just think that BookTok's not for everybody, and we shouldn't have to pretend it is in order to all, have a book community. That's kind of rambling and may not make much sense, but that's my thoughts. Just wanted to share. If you've stuck your way through to the end of this video, thank you so much. I know it was long and rambling, like all of my other ones. That's just kind of my style. If you like this video, please subscribe, hit the notification book. Wow, I've said book way too many times. The notification bell. And whether you agree with what I say or if you disagree, please let me know in the comments. Just keep it friendly, keep it polite. I like nice, polite, friendly conversations, not rude, mean ones. Don't name call or be a jerk or anything. Just positive comments, whether they are agreements or disagreements. I'd love to, hear your thoughts. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful day, and I will see you in another video. Bye!